What's up, everybody? Good morning, Mom Nation, and happy almost Turkey Day. We are back with another Live and Learn and an amazing returning guest. Hey, Krystal.
Hi.
How's it going, sister?
It's going great. Over here in Colorado, we're about to get some snow.
Oh, how much are you going to get today? Do you know?
Well, today's going to be 65, but like tomorrow or the next day, we're going to have snow. So we're going to get outside today and get sunshine before that comes.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, send us some pictures because we don't see snow very often, as you know. Well, snow is not what we are here to talk about today. I am really stoked about this topic, Krystal. As I was saying to her before the show started, we have so many mamas that are asking questions about homeschooling. Maybe they just started and they're kind of, new to the process, or they're considering it. And I thought it would be awesome to have Krystal to talk about the basics because I know her mom, and her mom told me she is a fantastic homeschool mom. So I believe her naturally.
She's biased, but at the same time, we know our kids best. So
Exactly. Exactly. So hop right into it. You have a 6-year-old daughter, right? And she has not, obviously she's really young, so you've been homeschooling her from the get-go, right?
we moved to Colorado when she was about to be preschool age. So it wasn't the plan originally because in Arizona I had a homeschool community already. So when we moved to Colorado, she did go to preschool, which I thought was so great because she did get the independence. She loved riding the bus home. She got the basics to make sure I knew she had a foundation of letter sounds and things like that. And also being new to the state, she got to meet some friends and get some community. So and it gave me some alone time to start getting settled into a new place as well. So
Yeah.
she has experienced preschool, but after that, we've been homeschooling.
So what made you get started? Obviously, you had that idea when you were in Arizona, if you had already found the community and already started making those plans. So talk to me about that. What are the thoughts and feelings all wrapped up there?
Yeah, I have always wanted to homeschool since possibly even before becoming pregnant and a mom. My background is I worked for 10 years almost in behavioral health with children. So lots of observations in schools, lots of support for the family and finding behavioral supports. And then after that, I went to school to become a school psychologist. So training in testing for IEPs and observations and getting services in place. And in my mind, I did not like the thought of my child going somewhere to be tested. Schools are set up to get funding on test results.
Right.
And so, I'm a kind of a hippie woo-woo type of person, and I wanted my daughter to question things and learn the way that she wanted to learn. And honestly, many of my clients in my health business are teachers. A lot of my friends are teachers, and there is a lot expected of teachers, and there's big classes of lots of children, and they don't get all the support they need because how can you individualize something when you're one human and you have 30 kids in your class? So in my background, I was seeing a lot of kids have behavior problems or learning problems, which could be supported in a way if they had the tools and the teaching and all of that. And so for me personally, I wanted to be able to have control over how my daughter was learning, what she was learning, and her ability to speak out about what she wants to learn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how does one get started with that? Because it seems very overwhelming. There's lots of things to think about, right? You had mentioned even in the beginning, I already had my community. So can you kind of, and I know this is just basics, but can you kind of dissect it a little bit and give me the chunks of the things that we need to be concerned about if this is something that we're considering?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a fly by the seat of your pants type of person. And I'm also a hands-on learner. So when I start to do research and it's not something I need to know right now, I'm like, like, that's overwhelming me. I don't understand how to navigate that. So, I mean, the first thing that I did is I just started joining Facebook groups, homeschool Facebook group, asking questions, connecting with other moms who have children that were, you know, the next age level and asking them questions of what's next for me. So that was kind of my first step. The second step is really understanding the laws and expectations in that state. So even Arizona to Colorado, there's difference where Arizona doesn't require evaluations and testing, where technically Colorado does. But there's ways around it, right? So you can get an umbrella school, and there's like, you can get ones that don't have to do that. So again, overwhelming because there's ways to go about different things. So my biggest tip is like immerse yourself in community so that you can find people who can link arms with you and share that information. The second is you have to be very intentional about socializing. As they would say, oh, I send my kid to school because they need the socialization. I'm telling you right now, I have to say no to stuff. Like, there is so much stuff to do with other homeschool families, meetup groups, like co-ops and enrichments, and I have to start saying no. Like, we are constantly socializing, but you have to be willing to be intentional about it. Because if you're just going to sit home, then they aren't going to get the socialization. But it is totally possible. And my daughter, we just left Taekwondo yesterday. Oh my God. Everyone's like, bye, 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 bye. And I'm like, God, girl, you have more friends than me.
She's like the mayor over there.
Yeah. And like everyone sees that in her, but we have to really look at the calendar and say, okay, what things are we going to go to? Why is this important? Is this going to be a learning thing, a structured thing, a not learning thing? That's okay, because they need play too. So my second tip is just like really being intentional about socializing and finding the groups out there that are for you, because you're going to meet families that aren't for you, but then you're going to find your families that you really connect with, and your friends, the kids become best friends and everyone just gets along, and it's really, really awesome. I see no bullying, like no meanness. And it's really beautiful to see a 2-year-old to a 10-year-old get along and support each other. So that's been one of my favorite things. Other than that, like read books, listen to podcasts, like get the information and pick what's going to work for you. And I think the last thing would be is it doesn't need to cost a lot of money. I refuse to spend really anything because there's so much out there, and you don't have to. So since COVID, right? Everyone homeschools, right? Oh, it's COVID. Oh, I homeschooled. I tried that. It didn't work for us. COVID homeschooling was not homeschooling. It was trying to do what the school was doing and what they're providing during a time of high stress and high emotion. Homeschool can look like whatever you want it to.
Can you give an example about what that means? Because I feel like that's kind of hard to wrap your head around when, for instance, if you're old like me and you're almost 45 and that's the only structure you've ever known is the traditional structure, like you don't know what you don't know, you know?
Yeah, no, that's huge because, and I even struggle. I am someone with structure. So I do need structure in our day, and that's how my brain works. But I have a lot of friends who there's something called unschooling, which it's more at the child's pace. It's a lot of play and whatever they want to do. And when they are interested in a topic, you dive into it. Where I like structure myself. And so we block out from 11 to 1 and we do, you know, math and language arts, whatever science topic we're working on. But to explain that is when a kid is in the classroom, it's what, 6 to 8 hours of work, sitting in the desk, you know, a couple of recesses, maybe if you're in a good district, and lunch. And so there's just lots of learning in that. Here's the teacher, here's your paperwork, where the classroom in your home can look however you want to know the standards. So in Colorado, you have to have a minimum of 4 hours of school a day, and they have to attend school 172 days. Now, to break that down, our school is Girl Scouts, Taekwondo, dance. Our school is cooking in the kitchen. Our school is art projects. Our school is going to co-op, so meeting with a group of people and learning together. Our school is, she goes to an enrichment on a farm once a day or once a week. And then our school is about 20 minutes of math and maybe 15 minutes of language arts, 3 times a week. It really depends on Callie. If we get things done and she's working hard, we're going to do more. If she's like really like, then, you know, language arts that day might be her reading me a book or me reading her a book, or going to the library and looking at books or learning about the library. So flexibility and being aware of what your kid needs each day is what it can look like.
And it sounds like those are things that you can incorporate academics into as well. Like, for instance, you brought up cooking. Well, with cooking, we got to measure.
Yeah, math, science, following directions, writing a list of ingredients for a recipe. So writing and spelling. She goes to an enrichment on a farm and they still do writing. They still learn how to do letters and things like that. So it can be, if your life is learning, then every day is school. And if you can see that, I was just going to say something else, but I just lost it. So there's like cooking is learning, but also social emotional. We're doing some time on building confidence and talking about lying, self-discipline. So these are things that you're not going to get in the classroom that you can implement into your school day. Oh, this is what I was going to say. And so when I started this, I started tripping out and like doubting myself. I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to teach my kid to read. She's going to be so messed up. I don't even know. So I almost sent her to a Montessori school or a Waldorf school. We toured them. I was like, I can't do this. I'm not gonna be able to teach her how to read. And then I sat down and I was like, why am I going to send her to school? Because of my fear and because of having alone time 8 hours a day. Woo, that'd be cool. And then I said, no, I've always wanted to homeschool. And I read this book called The Call of the Wild and Free by Ainsley Arment. And she just talks about the different kind of pockets of homeschooling. Like what's going to match your family and that you know your kid best. And I was like, that is correct. And in kindergarten, school should be play. And we've lost that in the classroom. And so kids can learn by playing Uno. Kids can learn by playing Yahtzee. That's math. Kids can learn by, I used to write sight words or letters on the ground and Callie would jump around and jump on the right thing. So through movement and play, that's what your kindergarten day should look like at home. So it's lots of play. You don't even feel like you're doing school. But there's a huge backing in games for learning. So that's like kindergarten and first grade is a lot of play and a lot of like, you can really learn in anything if you're looking at through that lens.
I love that what you said about there being a lot of learning in games, because I've noticed that, you know, I'm old again, but in the last decade, I've noticed.
You keep saying that.
Well, it's true. I've noticed that there's a lot of things that have been gamified. You know, and that I feel like, especially when our kiddos are younger, it keeps them engaged longer.
Yeah, there's a lot of classrooms that do use music and movement, and that's huge. I mean, I was attending some webinar educational stuff when kids are learning to read, like making sure you're moving, saying sounds and syllables and different things like that. And I do say that happens in the classroom. Which is great, but you can tailor it to the time that you need for your child. Like I love that if my daughter needs to sleep in, she can. Yeah. Or if she needs to take more breaks, she can. Or if she needs to do her social studies hanging upside down on the couch, but she's still listening, then she has that movement to do what her body is, because she's going to retain it more. But the games is huge. That's why recess is so important. Kids need time to where there's not adults directing their day. They need to learn how to solve problems on their own, and navigate different things without us like, this is how you do it, be nice, and things like that. And so it's unfortunate that schools have lost recess so much. I mean, Callie will say when she did go to school, we get 3 recesses. That was her favorite thing. So they thrive off play. They thrive off movement and music, and even getting someone to clean your room. I mean, if you want to pick up blocks, play basketball, right? It's like kids thrive off that, and they're going to learn more effectively if they're able to play. And I think as adults, especially as we get old, we forget how to play and have fun and laugh and just be a child. And that's all our children are asking for, is just to have fun with them.
No, it's true. So the big question that's in everybody's head right now is curriculum. So you mentioned, we go to dance, we go to all the farm, like all these things. And then you also mentioned, and then we might do, a half hour of language or a half hour of math or whatever it is. Do you follow a particular curriculum?
Yeah. So for kindergarten, I actually won a curriculum and didn't use it. I won it at a homeschool convention. It was like $900. It was $900. I won it. I would never pay. But for kindergarten, we used a program called Reading Eggs. It's $9.99 a month, and it was a game, and it helped her learn blending. It has math, it has phonics, it has reading. And she did that for 15 to 20 minutes. As she got advanced, she liked one-on-one interaction. And so she started to not be effective towards the end of the year for her. So this year, there is so much free resources in the world of the internet. Like,
true.
The technology can be a bad thing if we let it rule us. But if we use it as a tool, it can be beautiful. Great. And so there's so much free resources. So this year we're doing a curriculum called The Good and the Beautiful. It is free if you print it yourself. So I ended up getting a good printer, but you can also purchase it and have it. There's other curriculums that are also like that. So, I mean, if you join these Facebook group, free curriculum, does anyone know? Boom, you have like 50 to choose from. Or if you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to pay for math and language arts, but I really love this history, then you pay for your history. I'm not like, I couldn't even get started to tell you how many curriculums are out there. It really is overwhelming. My biggest tip is know that if you start with something, you don't need to finish with it. If it is not working for your family and your kid is not engaged in liking it, then stop it and do something else. That is the beauty of homeschooling. You can be flexible, where schools, they use sunlight or whatever they use, and that is what they're regulated to use, and they have to use it because the school purchased it. But just know that you can be flexible and you can stop and you can reassess, and that's going to happen throughout the whole time.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because I feel like we think that once we start something, we have to finish it. Like that's just kind of been ingrained in us for a bajillion years, Yeah.
And I think too, like, use The Good and the Beautiful for math and language, use Twiddle Twins for history. Like, you can macrame or whatever, you can sew this quilt of what's best for your family, because there's so much out there. I mean, for science, all I do is, so for science, August and September, we did space. And so we went to the library, we did planets first, we did the solar system, and then we did stars. And I just looked on YouTube, there's paid teachers, there's printable curriculums and printouts and projects, and the library is so great. Like, you can do whatever you want to do.
Mhm.
where, you know, I have friends that dive into things more than I do. And then there's friends that just, you know, let their kids do whatever they want. I mean, my friend's daughter's learning about witchcraft and Salem trials, like, because she loved it. You know, they're not, who's learning that in second grade?
Yeah, no one.
But she loved it. So guess what? She loved learning about it and she's super interested. So there's so much out there. Uh, Saying the library is an amazing resource. Our library has monthly homeschool meetups. They have homeschool
Ooh.
emails. Um, there are Lego clubs, and there's so much at the library that, like, there's so much stuff in the community that is available to homeschool families. And I know for a fact that Arizona is the same as Colorado. There is so much out there. You just have to put the effort into looking.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have any experience with these homeschool conventions? I heard that there's actual conventions and you can go and you can check out curriculums and you can meet other
Mhm.
moms and all this kind of thing.
Yeah, I went last year. I went last year or the year before. There's one, a huge one in Denver, but there was one in Colorado Springs that was smaller, put on by this, it's called the Homeschool Hub. And yeah, so we listened to some amazing speakers that taught us different things. Like, one was about brain activity and critical thinking, and a couple other ones. One was about emotional intelligence. So there's like these breakout sessions, and then at the end, there's just vendors. And so there was a lot of curriculum stuff. I actually won my daughter, I got IQ testing. I won it. So you can win things, which is great. So
Nice.
we were able to get her tested for her IQ and her style of learning, which was great. You know, I got to learn a lot about how she learns and her memory. And I also won curriculum, which was awesome. And but there's also cool things where there's this thing in Colorado called the fundamentals. And so that's this lady who does PE courses. And so you can learn about different activities and sports and music there as well. I just recommend going to everything that you can to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be a homeschool parent, you're probably a lifelong learner, you know? So I, I am learning right along. I think I just learned recently that the Statue of Liberty is made out of copper, but then it turned green over time. I'm like,
Mhm.
mind blown. I also just realized the Little Dipper and the Big Dipper are not constellations. They're part of the Little Bear, which I was like,
What have I been learning all my life?
I know. And so it's like, I'm learning right along with her, and it's cool. I will tell you, she was reading in 6 months. She is reading full Dr. Seuss books now. She loves math. I mean, she would do math any minute she can. And so the fear that I had of being able to teach her to read, I am mind blown now. She reads books by herself while I'm reading my books. And just have faith in yourself. Like, know that we know our kids best, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be a challenge. But if it's what you're passionate about, like, and you really, I told my friend the other day, if you even have a gut feeling that you want to pull your kid from school and homeschool, what's holding you back?
Mhm. You can try
And
it because you can always go back.
you can always go back.
Right.
So
Any other advice that you might have? I know you shared a lot of tidbits here, and thank you so
yeah.
much for being so open about it. But any other advice that you have for a mama that might just be getting started or considering it, or maybe has the fears that you had?
Yeah. A couple of things, and I mentioned this to you before we jumped on, is a lot of people say, like, I don't have the patience for that.
Mm.
I'm telling you right now, I do not have the patience for this most days. But it takes understanding that we are learning together, and the bond and the connection and the moments that we have, we're learning. I have to apologize to my daughter all the time for yelling, but then that moment we are growing stronger together. Um, the second piece would just be, and I totally just lost it. Oh my God.
It'll come back. It always does.
Patience and oh yes, I know. So I will say I don't get a lot of alone time. And I will say that to my friends. And I've had a couple people say, you chose this.
Ooh.
And I'm like, and I just want to say this for everyone else. I chose this life because this is what I value, and this is something that means something important to me. But that does not mean that we don't deserve a break. and time alone. And I know even when your kids go to school, there's still that mom guilt of like taking time for yourself.
There is. Yep.
It is selfless to take time for yourself. And none of us, whether you're a homeschool mom, a working mom, or your kid goes to school, your kid isn't home full time, we all deserve alone time and time to pour into ourselves and fill our cup. And so, yes, I chose this life, but I deserve a day alone and I deserve to celebrate the times that I have breached.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. And I agree with you. We all deserve to care for ourselves. We all deserve to have that time and that peace that we need to reset, to feel our best and all of that. And, I don't know when it happened where women were taught that it wasn't okay and we had all of this guilt infused into us.
mhm.
But I have a feeling it was strategic.
The
You know what I'm saying?
patriarchy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna get into
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, just really, if you think about like, this is such a deep rabbit hole that we can totally get into, but I think about it a lot and I'm like, okay, so where back hundreds of years ago or wherever, whenever this started happening to women, like why? And I wonder if it wasn't a means of control, but
Mm.
that is another topic for another day.
Yes, I would say the best thing we can do is our kids are going to do what we do. So if you give yourself time alone, they're going to learn to give themselves time alone. If they surround themselves by good people, they're going to surround themselves by good people. If they are immersed, if you're immersed in learning and growing and become better, your kids are going to want to learn and grow and become better. And so they're constantly watching whether they are home with you all day or not. Constantly.
Totally
So take
agree.
that time.
And I love that you mentioned, is it going to be, probably difficult? I mean, yeah, but everything is. I mean, public school, private school, charter school, no matter where your kiddo is, there are still things that you have to deal with as a parent, where, they may be different, but there are still obstacles and there are still difficulties. And it's just a different type.
Yeah, I do want to say something because of Arizona, and I know we're ending up, is this is a little different. It's not for homeschooling, but it's for home-based schooling. If you have a child with like special needs and you pull them to do home-based schooling at home, there is something called the Empowerment Scholarship in Arizona. It is amazing. You can get speech therapy, physical therapy. I used to teach kids yoga and the parents could use the funding from the empowerment scholarship for the one-on-one yoga sessions to work on self-regulation and focus and things like that. If you are a parent of a special needs child with unique needs, and you're thinking about doing home-based schooling and they're on an IEP, look into the empowerment scholarship. I just thought of that, and it's not in Colorado, and it's really sad, but it's a beautiful thing in Arizona.
Oh, that's so good to know. And see, this is what it's all about. It's about, connecting with other moms, sharing the information that you do have. This is how we all learn and grow and become, better and better at being able to serve our families, whatever that may look like, right? And ourselves, because we just pointed out that's a big deal too. So before we go though, homeschooling is not the only rock star thing that you do. Let's talk about your business just real quick. I know you mentioned it a little bit with the yoga, so I just wanted to give you an opportunity to spotlight that.
Yeah, no, I am a health and wellness transformation coach. So I help people change their mindset and their daily habits to prioritize wellness and organize their lives around what they value most. I am also a kids yoga and mindfulness teacher. And so I teach in studio, I teach at schools, I teach for private groups. I just taught a competition cheerleading squad the other day. It was really cool. We did a lot of team building and like anxiety talk about competition. And I also am launching like one-on-one virtual and in-person mindfulness coaching, almost like blending the world of my coaching practice and yoga to help kids learn how to build healthy habits, how to build self-esteem, how to start taking care of themselves through the yoga and mindfulness. And I was going to say, and if anyone has any questions or thoughts, they can email me about homeschooling, about IEP support, anything like that. Cause I am all about people helping people.
Oh, I love it. so much. And I know that you are because I know you and your mom. And so I know that
We
she
got
speaks
something in
to
the
you.
works too. Me and her have been talking about doing a workshop together with her energy work and my habit mindset building. So keep an eye out.
No, I really love that. And we could talk after the show or after the holiday, but I have some ideas for that too, of some things that I really want to implement into the group at the beginning of the year.
Oh,
Hint,
fun.
hint, everyone, something's
Yeah.
about to come up. So how can our peeps get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Facebook. My name's Krystal Wilson. Look for this mug. No, I'm just kidding. And then I have like a link tree, I guess that would be easiest. So link tree, so linktr.ee/grateful being health and wellness, or grateful being, sorry. Linktree, grateful being. And you can email me, krystalgagnon3@gmail.com.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. And it's so nice that you put yourself out there and allow people to get in touch and that you're so helpful to others in their, in a bunch of different ways, which I think is really cool. So thank you for being you and for being amazing. And yeah, let's talk because I got some stuff for you and your mom.
Okay, I'm down. Thank you guys. I love community. It's everything. Bye.
Yes, absolutely. We love having you. You guys, if you want to check out any of our previous Live and Learn episodes, hop on over to our YouTube channel. It is at MOMnation USA. That's our handle. Scroll down just a little bit. You will see the Live and Learn playlist, and there's a lot of Live and Learns in there. We've been doing this for years, so check that out. If you are more of the podcast type on your favorite podcast platform, do a search for MOMnation Talk Radio, and then you can do the notifications, hit the bell, download all the things, and you will never miss one of our shows. Thank you so much, Krystal.
Bye.
Bye.